Testy words. Test words. I think that's working. Let's find out. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. So, we got a couple of little updates, which should be quite fun. Update number 1. Leeds United pummeled yesterday by Arsenal. We all knew that happened. That was one that we kind of knew would happen. You go into that and you kind of assume Leeds aren't necessarily going to win this, and it ended up going exactly how we all expected. Number 2. Bits and bobs around Jurgen Strand Larsen that have popped out today, which I think are going to be quite interesting. This isn't going to be the longest stream. It'll be like 15, 20 minutes. We'll find out. But yeah, it should be a pretty fun one. Slink, you are continually in the mode of being as angry as you feasibly can be. Let's not, just for like 15 minutes, and then you can go back to it. That'd be lovely. You did also say that we weren't signing for Facundo Buonanotte, and then we did. So, but to begin with, let's do some Arsenal bits. Yeah, that's just not true. And I did some notes. Again, I like doing notes on post-match things, especially when they annoy me. I couldn't do a stream or anything yesterday because I was working immediately after we played, which was a little bit of a pain, but we can have a little bit of a chat about it. And the first thing that came to mind was that as much as people have been enjoying having a little bit of a slinging match when it comes to Lucas Perry in the last couple of months, people have gone, Lucas Perry made a mistake, let's get him out of the squad immediately. Which, fine, whatever, you can think what you think. You get to now think that about Carl Darlow, because I think the mistakes made by Carl Darlow yesterday were just as bad as the Lucas Perry ones. This isn't a case of I'm going to lose my head at Carl Darlow because I know that goalkeepers are going to make mistakes. On both sides, Perry did make mistakes. Darlow has made mistakes. I'm going to come at both of them with the attitude of errors happen, it's okay. It happens from time to time. But I think that match looks significantly kinder for us if for the second goal, the ball isn't punched into the back of our own net off the head of Calvert-Lewin, who I genuinely believe is heading that ball clear, and his head is sort of lowered by the fact... Hello, Iris. And his head is sort of lowered by the fact that there is a fist coming through the back of him. Didn't help the situation in the slightest. Yes, hi. Someone wants quite a lot of attention right now, so I'm gonna pet the cat. Let's go, Team Iris. And then the third goal, which is sort of at Darlow, that he's responded to a little bit too early, gets a hand to. Again, could have been a little bit stronger with it. No matter what, we're losing that game yesterday. I will say without a doubt, I don't think anything that we do wins that game of football. Because if you look throughout their squads, and if you look at our starting lineup, I did the maths yesterday, our entire first 11, in terms of transfer fee, was only slightly more than Declan Rice. Which paints a picture, I think. And the fact that they have an entire squad of ridiculously good footballers is always going to show in the end, and there's going to be games that you're just not going to get results from. And for me, that was one of them. That's going to happen. I've just realised I am in the wrong camera. Yes, I am. Is it that one? It's that one. There we go. Hello. The chat's here now. I do have a distinct hatred of Arsenal's style of play, though, because we know that they have a ridiculously good list of footballers, but they play that style where it's just sort of like, yeah, well, we'll just sort of rely on set pieces, and then that'll be great. And it's like, well, no, because you have good enough footballers to do the fun open play stuff, and their entire thing is, well, we'll have about 17 corners a game, and 2 of them will go in, and that'll be lovely. Like, no, just pass the ball a bit, be creative, have some fun, and they just refuse, and I hate them for it, and it's so bland. I do think that we tactically approached it wrong at the same time. I think we gave them a little bit too much space. We didn't force them into problems enough. And at the same time, I don't think we dedicated enough players to going the other way round. I don't think we dedicated enough players to going forwards, which meant that when the ball came out to a Brendan Aronson or a Calvert-Lewin, it was stuck up a cul-de-sac because it was just one of those two holding the ball, waiting, going, what do I do now? Because they can't realistically do anything because they've got no one around them to play the ball to, which means that we have even more problems that build and build and build and build and build and build and build. So I think if we tactically approached it a little bit differently, yeah, we might have been more open at the back, but at least we would have had a little bit of something going forwards. That would have been lovely. And in addition to that, we've had some sloppy defensive mistakes. Those are going to happen because we don't have the best players in the league. We have to kind of admit that. But I'd rather they didn't. And if we can stop them happening from time to time, I would be very, very happy. Girlie, you are desperate for a little bit of attention, aren't you? However, in addition to that, we did expect to lose. I'm not going to go into this and sort of swing out and say, oh no, we're doomed to relegation because we've lost to Arsenal. This was going to happen from the beginning. From the beginning of the season, you look at Arsenal away, Arsenal home, probably lose those. City away, City at home, probably lose those. Those are the games that you look at and you go, we're never expecting anything from it in the first place, so if we lose that, that's fine. Admittedly, didn't like the manner in which we lost. Those are the matches where I'd like to see a little bit more of a performance, but importantly, West Ham also lost, and they lost in a worse manner. They lost in a way that is going to lose them players for future matches because of the weird kerfuffle that happened at the end of the match, and that means that we're still 6 points clear. Admittedly, Forest equal with us right now. The gap to Forest isn't what matters. The gap to West Ham is, and they've lost their best centre-back for a little bit, and I think that puts us in a nice position for a little bit of time. The Forest match is going to be ridiculously important now, and hopefully we can get something out of it, but we'll have to see. Somehow, by the way, I've just got to... She's managed to do this, so... Just in case I can't do the gesticulating with my hands that I like to do, there we go, she's wandered away. That was just sort of explaining why. Then you get to Daniel Farke's post-match press conference, and that's where we end up in the transfer conversation. So Farke seemed a little bit irritable, according to the responses that were given. Mainly sort of focusing around the... So Daniel, what do you want? The board already know what I want. Which is him clearly saying, can we get something in, please? A little bit of a chat about the goalkeeper, which I think we don't necessarily need a new one of, even though a lot of people are like, we're desperately in need of a keeper. For me, it takes time to adapt to a new league, which Lucas Perry is doing. You're going to make mistakes from time to time, which Carl Darlow is doing. I don't think we have a worse goalkeeper pairing than most other sides in the league. And anyone that is shouting that we desperately need to sign a goalkeeper right now needs to pay attention to the fact that in a 25-man squad, that would mean having Perry, that would mean having Darlow, that would mean having Cairns, that would mean having Meslier, and a new goalkeeper. 5 goalkeepers in a 25-man squad. That would be, in the nicest way possible, fucking mental. That's not something that you do. That is far too many goalkeepers. And I think if we just stick with this list at the minute, Darlow's contract expires at the end of the season, Mellier's does, Cairns's does. Mahady, I assume, will come back into the squad to be part of that 3 goalkeeper lineup, and we'll get another goalkeeper in the summer, is the way that I'm looking at that. If it doesn't happen, fine. But I'm not that arsed about getting another goalkeeper in right now. The Strand Larsen conversation is still a really, really, really interesting one. What seems to be happening is Crystal Palace have Mateta that is moving on from them. They are happy with the fact that he's departing. He's gone to AC Milan, having a medical. Fantastic. He's on the way out. Lovely. We love to see it. Then it gets confusing. Because the idea is, if he goes out, they can get Strand Larsen in, for which they're paying 43 mil... Is it 43 plus 5 or 45 plus 3? Either way, they're paying a grand total of £48 million. Which is a lot of money for Strand Larsen. I think that is too much. I'm glad that we've put a ceiling on the amount that we are willing to pay for him. However, Mateta's potential move to AC Milan is now itself looking incredibly wobbly, because he seems to be having issues with his knee whilst he is away doing this little bit of a medical. If I have a little bit of a search, actually, I'm just going to make sure it all works. 1 second. I can't see it anywhere. There we go. Fabrizio Romano saying that Palace are still waiting for AC Milan's decision on Mateta after the medical, which means that is not a good situation at all. They can't get Strand Larsen in until they get Mateta out, because Mateta very clearly wants to leave. He's like unfollowed them on Instagram and all that kind of nonsense. But if his knee's being janky, you don't know if they've got the necessary finances to get that done. That will really hurt them from a PSR standpoint at the same time. And you will then have a very, very, very angry Jean-Philippe Mateta who's just sat in the sidelines sort of going, I don't want to be here and I'm going to ruin the morale of this football club at the same time while sapping money away from them. I don't believe if they can't get Mateta sold that they will get Strand Larsen in. That doesn't seem to make too much sense for me. It doesn't add up. Which puts them in a very, 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 very complicated position, because we don't know what happens with Strand Larsen then. Do Wolves approach it and go, well, we wanted this amount of money for Strand Larsen, so we will get that or we won't sell? Or will you get the approach of, well, this is the bid that's on the table and we probably get less in the summer? Which is what I believe the opinion has been throughout, but as the window's gone on, I might have been wrong on that. I don't know. It's a weird one. As Mark has just said in the chat, the football gods are having a lot of fun with this one, and it's quite curious. The Peru thing is still ongoing. The fact is, he played 5 minutes yesterday, did absolutely nothing, and I wouldn't want to see play much more football this season at Leeds United, because I don't think he's going particularly well, which is a bit of a shame. I like the guy, but I don't like him enough to keep him around when he's not performing. And he isn't this season, and he's not really had the opportunity to, but it's sort of understandable. What we do is going to be a bit of a question mark. I would like him to go. The club would like him to go. He wouldn't like to go anywhere, because there's just nowhere on the list that he's gone, oh, actually, I'll go over there. Yeah, it's not brilliant. Sorry, the cat's just jumped at me again and gone meow. I don't know if that's audible. She's currently mashing her face on the microphone. But yeah, it's a fun one. Che Adams is linked with Wolves. Why is... I didn't think it was Adams. I thought it was Adam Armstrong. I've seen Adam Armstrong linked with them. Very weird. Piru could go to PSV with Ricardo Pepi likely going to Fulham. Ooh. If Piru does go to PSV, then I hope we get someone in as a replacement. But I'm going to, before I dive into everything, I'm going to put it this way, in a fairly simple manner. Going into the window and going into the final day on deadline day, the thing that I wanted has always been, can we get an attacking midfielder / winger? That's the one thing that I think we need in order to fill out the rest of the squad. And we got that. We got that in Facundo Buonanotte. The only player that's really gone out of any particular value has been Harry Gray. Harry Gray not really a part of the senior squad this season, which doesn't cause any particular harm in my opinion. For me, if the Strand Larsen link hadn't come up, I wouldn't be particularly arsed if it went like that way. I wouldn't be too bothered if we just left out of the window with Buonanotte in. That'll do, because I think that's what we needed. But I don't know. Piru was probably the best player yesterday for us. I mean, did he touch the ball? Are you basing that on the fact that he didn't touch the ball, therefore didn't do anything wrong? Let's have a look. Leeds versus Arsenal. Statistics. That'd be lineups, wouldn't it? And go to Piru. He had one pass and it was accurate. 2 touches in total and 1 tackle. That's your best player. That's the huge impact that your best player had. That's, for me, probably not going to cut the mustard. I don't think Piru has done enough to earn sticking around for next season. Or at least, well, next season in the Premier League, presumably. If we get relegated, sure, Joel Piru, wonderful. But then again, I don't necessarily see Calvert-Lewin leaving if we go down. But yes, by metrics, he was there. What metrics? What metrics are you looking at to go, yeah, Piru was excellent yesterday? No, he wasn't. You can say he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything. That's kind of the thing. Just coming, I heard that JSL's off again. Not sure how true it is. Are you talking about the JSL to Palace or the JSL to Leeds? Because the Leeds is looking off. The Palace is looking more on, but I think it relies on an exit for Mateta. And I think the Mateta exit looks off, which makes everything incredibly confusing. The fact is, we're at the end of this chain of dominoes, which is a weird place to be. But it's also an interesting place to be because it gives us a decent idea of what moves might or might not be coming down the line. I can see some weird bits and bobs happening in the window, to be honest with you. If we get someone in, lovely. If we don't, also fine. PSV is already champion and out of Europe, so they don't really replace Pepe. Don't they? Hold on, let's have a look. Eredivisie. Oh, shitting hell, they really are already champions, aren't they? Just hanging out with 56 points, 17 more than Feyenoord. Yeah, maybe PSV are done. I like how they're so comfortably at the top of the league and they still don't have the player with the most goals in the division. It's incredible. Would like a wing back on loan now JJ is injured. The question is who? Makes things a little bit complicated. Because I'm not sure who realistically you pivot to. And how injured is James Justin? Because I don't know if it's a knock or I don't know if it's an injury. It could be either. Let's have a quick look. Daniel Farker, post Arsenal press conference. No, that's pre-Arsenal. That's not any good to me. Nope, I can't see it, but that's fine. It could be a broken bone in the foot of Justin. I imagine if it is something very, very big and serious and bad, then that's a situation of you get someone in. But if it's a shorter term issue, then I think you just wait it out, to be completely honest. Adam Pope tweeted it. Thank you very much, Dr. Cox. Let's have a look. Adam Pope. On transfers, Farker's making no comment but feels the club is ready to pounce if required. I'll be honest, I think the only required is if James Justin is injured. On James Justin, Adam Pope said that James Justin's picked up an injury and is a doubt for Friday night. He doesn't say he's a doubt if he's broken something in his foot. I think there'll be a little bit more certainty in that, which is good. I think it's good to have that level of certainty and the idea that he's not gone. Dest would be a great signing for Leeds, but I'm afraid this won't happen. Where is Dest? Serginho, where are you playing? Oh, he's also at PSV. Are you just looking at the PSV squad and going, how about Dest? Nice. How about Pepe? Nice. Even Joe, it's alright. I also feel like I have missed so much of this because I am a bit scrambled. Baby brained is the way that a lot of people say it. I hope you're good. I think we're done for this window. I will be honest, I don't mind if we are done for this window. I went into it thinking we need an attacking midfield. Fun hiccup. I think we need an attacking midfielder. I'm coming out of it saying we got the attacking midfielder. Anything more than that's just a little treat, you know? It's just a nice little, oh, how about a nice shiny new thing? And I don't think we strictly need it. It would be nice to have, but it's not a, if we don't get a new player in, we're doomed. I think if you have a look around us, And someone, I can't remember who, sorry, it might have been Lee, because there was like an orange background on the message, said that whilst we've taken another step towards relegation, something like we're just taking steps backward in the transfer market. And if you look realistically at what's happened in the league today, West Ham lost. We are still 6 points clear of West Ham. Yes, we lost a little bit of ground on goal difference, but then again, we played the team that very, very, very comfortably got out of the Champions League stage without dropping a single point and conceding very few goals. Around us, Palace got 1 point, which I think was the best result for us because that means that Forest below us got 1 point. Forest have lost one of their most important players for the match later this week because Neco Williams got himself sent off for punching the ball off the line as a left back, which was very funny. So I think if you're looking at the weekend's matches and saying we're deep in trouble now, I don't know what we can realistically do, then I think the reality of the situation hasn't quite caught up because we're exactly where we were before. If we lose to Forest, yeah, that's bad. That's genuinely a problem. I'm not going to say we're definitely down, but we lose to Forest, West Ham beat Burnley, that's 3 points. And we've used up the gap that we built. It was a very nice save from Williams, in all fairness, but for me, I'm not going to be in the position of we're spiralling, we're done, we're doomed, it's game over, because we're sort of where we expected to be. Everyone came into this season going 17th on goal difference will do, and we are currently 16th with 6 points clear on 18th place. And everyone's still sort of screaming, it's done, we're finished. Like, no. You can't allow a match against one of the best teams on the planet at the minute to affect your mindset this much. Because I think it's like, you were already Farker out. You were Farker out before, you will be Farker out again. This has never been a question. You know that. Come on. Would you a poor performance or better than yesterday? We are, yeah. And I think that's what I'm sort of basing this on. I'm not going to panic because there is no benefit to a panic at this point. As Oaks just put, next game, we win. If Burnley manage a win against West Ham, which would be a bit weird, then we're 9 points clear. Not only are we 9 points clear, we're level on points with Spurs. And I think if anyone approaches things and goes, yeah, well, level on points with Spurs, it's not good enough, actually. Get Daniel Farker out. We're only equal on points with the team that won the Europa League last season and the team that won the FA Cup last season. Unacceptable. Like, come on. It's not that bad. We're okay. Even if we were to buy Elliott, we wouldn't be able to play him because he's registered for 2 teams so far this season. It's not a question of the number of loans he's had, it's the question of the number of teams he's played for. You can't play for 3 teams within the space of 1 season, which is the issue around Harvey Elliott. Which sucks, but it is what it is. Potentially leaving the window with a weaker squad than we entered it due to injuries. I don't think you can consider injuries as it's a weaker squad. I think that's a fairly harsh way of looking at it. So if we go to Premier Injuries, which is a quite good place for looking at the injuries that the club has. We've got 4 injured players. We got Dan James, who is potentially returning on Friday. So that's someone that is back that wasn't here at the start of the window. Jacobiel, again, potentially against Forest. Lucas Metcher, again, potentially against Forest. So we're coming out of the transfer window with 1 injury, realistically, when all of the other 3 are basically, they could be available for Nottingham Forest. That injury being James Justin, and we're also approaching it with 1 player in. We've got fewer injuries than we had at the start of the window, and an extra player. I don't personally think that's a it's fucked kind of situation. I think it's fine. And I think we're in a little bit of a situation where, as a club, Leeds has sort of taught us that fine isn't fine because we're a little bit too good at being panicky, which is weird. Where are we? So on that basis, do I think we'll win the cup and qualify for Europe? No, but it's a sign that there's decent quality in those teams. Like if you have a look at like Spurs' squad at the minute, you don't look at that and go, "That's shite." Actually, they signed Colomwani from PSG at the start of the season. They got Xavi Simons in, who is a very, very, very highly rated player. João Palhinha, again, ridiculously highly rated. They've got Archie Gray, for fuck's sake. And we all know how much we like Archie Gray. I think we're in a spot where there is a lot of ability in the sides around us, and the fact that we've transformed a very championshipy squad last season to competing in the Premier League squad this season is great. And I think one performance seems to have poisoned the well a little bit around that, with a lot of people going, we're done, actually. And it's like, no, we lost to Arsenal. You want to know the interesting thing? Everyone loses to Arsenal. You know who loses to Arsenal? If we have a look. Inter lose to Arsenal. As another example, Inter lost 3-1 to Arsenal. Who else? Club Brugge, who are doing ridiculously well in Belgium. Bayern got beat 3-1 by Arsenal. Atletico Madrid also lost 4-0 to Arsenal. Athletic Bilbao lost 2-0 to Arsenal. That's an interesting one. Yeah. So if I'm looking through, I'm thinking, this is a team that conceded 4 goals in the Champions League, 2 of which were against Kairat Almaty in their most recent game because they put out half a squad. So realistically, in 7 actual Champions League matches, they conceded twice. Come on, let's get a little bit of perspective, please. I do agree that Farke needs to play more attack-minded stuff in the Forest match. That will be significant because I think approaching it differently will lead to some slightly nicer outcomes for us in that one. But we'll find out. The board of clubs that Leeds Underwood should have never been given a top job. You need experienced people in the Premier League. We are 16th in the Premier League. We went into the season thinking we only needed to be 17th. We're okay. Less of the panic. I know we like to panic. I know it's fun to panic sometimes. But for fuck's sake, if you have a look at the last window, you go, everyone that we recruited, pretty decent. Pretty fucking good summer window, considering the level of churn that we needed to do. And then we got Buonanotte in this one, which, if you're coming out of the summer window, everyone was saying, what we really need is an attacking midfielder. We proceeded to get that. You can say he's a shit director of football, fine. You can say that we're not getting the top targets sometimes, fine. But when you look at results, and when you look at where we are at the minute, it's like the people that are still like, Daniel Farke is still dog shit and he can't compete in the Premier League. We did go fairly well undefeated in quite a lot of very, very difficult games. Come on, let's not do the sort of panic spiral every single time. As Webby Gaz has said, we do need to be a little bit clever in the market and we can't just jump to the expensive people. Which, if... I can't words right now. Ah! That's a YouTube video. Apologies for the misclick. But yeah. If Hammond was still here, we would have got better players in. Such as whom? Who would we have got in? Because you don't know who his targets would have been. You know that's a massive assumption. That's like saying if Bielsa was here right now, we would have re-signed Rafinha and would be in Champions League places at the minute. It's a bit of a sort of extrapolation, I think. The frustrating thing is, with a few tweaks, could be much more comfortable. Bob being negligent in team windows. I don't know if it's negligent though. Yeah, you're gonna have that song stuck in your head all day, and I am proud of it. You know what I might do? I might, throughout all of my streams, just occasionally drop a 1 second chunk of various songs that just get like earwormed in there. It's gonna be Crazy Frog next time. It's gonna be great. Anyway, I did mention this will be a relatively short stream. It's going to remain a relatively short stream because it has to, because I'm tired and I'm gonna have a little bit of a nap. And then I'm going to look after a baby for the next 6 hours because she doesn't go to sleep till 4 in the morning. It'd be more negligent to overspend and lose points. That's my thinking, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to call it there. The plan is to get a video done for the morning. The plan is to... They said keeping Melia was best for all parties because if we would have paid off his contract, we would have probably fucked ourselves on PSR. And on the Deadwood thing, you can't shift players to somewhere there isn't a destination for. That's like saying I'm going to go on a cruise when there's no cruises running. There's no one that particularly wants Ilham Melier right now, and that's not something that we can just fix by saying, let's just do it, because you just can't. The offers from yeah, and we reportedly accepted those on deadline day in the summer, and Melier didn't go. So at that point, you can't just say to a player, leave the club, because they're not necessarily going to leave the club. They still have free will. And thank you, Victor Orta, Melier's wage is quite chunky. Anyway, I'm going to call it there. The plan is to do at least a video for the morning, maybe a stream at some point tomorrow. It depends on when I'm able to wake up because of baby. Maybe doing a stream at the deadline to have a little bit of a chat and bits and bobs and stuff like that. But I'm going to leave that there. Pop a like on the stream. That would be absolutely wonderful. Subscribe if you're not yet. Become a channel member if you fancy. You get videos and stuff early. Hope you'll enjoy it. And I will see you later. Toodaloo. Where's my end screen? Where's my end screen? Ah!